G'day viewers, it's the end of another week, which means it's time for Totally Fucked Up Friday. And I'm leading with a serious fucked up story, but another part of this that's fucked up is the way I know people are reacting to it. But first up, stories breaking. The Australian government is thinking about introducing a plan whereby the ISPs will have to track everyone's internet activity, so when the government or the police want to investigate, the ISP turns over the records. Essentially, your internet activity is being wiretapped if this goes into place. Now, two things are going to come out of this. I'm going to hear people going, oh, it's worse than communist China, and this is typical of Australia with all its repressive laws. Okay, my problems with that. First, I am so fucking sick of people, this trend that's going around when people don't like a government policy, they go, it's communism. So Obama gets it all the time. Do you fucking Americans realize how conservative Obama is? By any political standard in any other country, he's a fucking conservative. What passes for political discourse in your country is just so fucked. You say these inane things. Christ, that makes you look stupid to the outside world. Just throwing it out there. Anyhow, but even in Australia we're getting this. Okay, now we do have a theoretically progressive left-wing government, still really fucking conservative. But for instance, besides this internet business, there's a tax being placed on the mining companies in Australia. And hey, you can argue that from an economic viewpoint, you can argue it from a philosophical viewpoint. I actually don't mind if you're opposed to this 40% tax on the super profits of these mining companies. Personally, I think they've been ripping the resources out of the ground and getting away with fucking murder far too cheaply. But anywho, what really shit me this week with protests on this big tax, fucking billionaires. Billionaires standing up at the microphone going, we're not going to take it anymore. Fight the power. For real? I'm supposed to give a fuck about billionaires? What the fuck is wrong with this world? Honestly. And can people just please stop going that communist line? All that's showing is you don't know anything about communism and you don't know anything about the government policy, or you're just talking shit. People who just go into hyperbole over everything instead of actually looking at the issue and responding, just go off into this mindless hyperbole. People who speak in hyperbole are worse than Hitler. I swear to God, I will kill the next person who fucking exaggerates about how angry they are about something. Now, the second part of this story and people's reaction to it that's giving me the shits is oh, isn't this typical of Australia's nanny state? Now look, I've spoken out against censorship in this country numerous times. I'm completely opposed to censorship in general and a lot of this government's policies in particular. But guess what? The government didn't invent this out of whole cloth. They're copying a policy that's been in place in Europe since 2006. So saying, oh, we're getting bad now. Apparently we're just catching up to what Europe did 4 years ago. And seriously, it's not like there's anywhere in the world that can hold their head up above this. Seriously, anyone in America, have you not heard of the NSA and their warrantless wiretapping program? Just look it up, or I'll provide a link. It's common knowledge that phones and internet traffic are routinely monitored in the US. It was actually admitted during the Bush administration. It's probably been going on way longer, but they just came out and admitted it during the Bush administration. You know, the war on terror. And yes, it's used to justify infringements on completely innocent people. But hey, you're not with the terrorists, are you? Oh, and a special mention on this whole idea of governments and censorship, I'm sending out to Turkey. Now, I've got quite a few subscribers in Turkey. In fact, one of my best longest-term YouTube friends, Conmek, is from Turkey, and they're always having to find proxies and other ways to tunnel in to watch YouTube because it's banned most of the time in Turkey. It comes up and down, and it's sometimes easier, sometimes harder for them to get access to it. But broadly speaking, YouTube's banned in Turkey, and some of the IP addresses the Turkish government's been bannings ended up blocking a whole bunch of other Google services like Google Docs and a few other things. That's not that surprising, but now the Turkish government is trying to get Google to pay taxes in Turkey. So you want to block their services, but you still want to take money from them. Man, that is all sorts of stupid. And it's absolutely typical. My last rant for this one. The other totally fucked up thing, censorship's bad, but all the other anti-internet action that's going on from governments and corporations, and governments bought by corporations, about under the name of copyright and similar things like that, and the companies, particularly in the US, who are opposed to any idea of net neutrality, it's like they see an opportunity to grab some dollars. Oh, look, I can get some money here. Viacom's going to sue YouTube for $1 billion. These fucking morons don't realize it's the free and open nature of the internet that's revolutionized business and has created streams of revenue in the billions and billions of dollars that didn't exist before. These fucking idiots have their heads so far up their asses, they will strangle it and destroy it, and then sometime down the track go, wow, didn't we used to be able to make money off the internet? And then we put all these gates and controls. That should have made us more money, shouldn't it? Did the terrorists attack the internet? No, it's not the terrorists. It's short-sighted governments, short-sighted companies, greedy, ignorant fucks around the world, and this latest example by the Australian government thinking of tracking all their activity on the internet is just the latest in all these battles we have to face.